This is the latest IEM from FatFreq, and if you kind of follow IEM development, this is one of the most irresponsible bass IEM that you can find today, with a 30 decibel boost in the bass. Irresponsible, really. But the thing is, does it sound good, right? Now, I have to say first, I'm not a bass head, but I purchased it because I just want bass when I listen to music soft. So, just to prelude what I'm pushing this for. But without wasting time, let's take a look at the IEM. Today we'll do an unboxing, an initial impression of the default version, which is the cables, the tips, the default one where, you get in today's purchase, followed by I will do a bit of upgrades and stuff because I did already try this IEM, but when I tried it, it was also in the upgraded state, not the exact default cable and stuff. So today I just want to try out what's the default sound for the first impression. Now, with a lot of my unboxing and impression video, it is broken up into a few parts. You can actually follow in the bookmark below. First, it will start off with the unboxing. Then I will take a look at the IEM itself, the quality of the IEM, and then we'll talk a little bit on the initial sound impression using one of my DAPs as a way to power the IEM, like how you would have used it straight out of the box. And then after that, I will do some comparisons, and also for this particular video, I will change the cables and the tips to what I think is good and then compare it with another IEM. And for considering the price of this IEM, which is about 800 Sing dollars, I will compare it to the variation, which in Singapore is about $100 difference. Very, very close for the pricing itself. Now, without wasting time, let's take a look. So the version that comes is the Scarlet. It comes with a red case, very nice case. In fact, I bought an extra case because the case is really nice and very good for keeping. I'll show you later what's inside. And then they give the Clarion tips from TRI. This is very affordable tips and they are pretty good. Now, for me, I'm not going to use these tips today because I already tried the shop. I don't think it's that great. At least for me itself, the signature is not what I like. But, we will try the very default ones inside because I don't know when they will ever stop giving this, because this is like a free gift, free gift. So one day they may stop giving this and you will have just leave the tip that's built into the IEM box itself. Let's try what's inside. So once you open out, you'll see the card. This is welcome to the family. I believe some version you see like demo and stuff, because mine is the retail version. You see exactly this card. These are the spare tips. They give very little spare tips. I mean, I can understand why they give the Clarion tips now. Literally, even $100 IEMs give like 2 or 3 sets of tips today, and $200 IEMs give kind of premium tips nowadays. So this is quite little tips. So TRI Clarion was pretty good. Though I do think that they should give some other tips. I'll talk about it later. For this particular box, I do like it because firstly, it's a protective box. Secondly, they really laser cut out where you can put the IEM, the cable can wind up, and then there is a silica gel container, the desiccant container in the center, which I believe you can also easily put in a microwave everything to dry up, and then you can reuse again and again. So I do love this box, and then it's highly protective. So this box is good for very long-term storage. If you are doing short-term storage, there are better boxes like the one I recently used, the Leopard case. This is, I think, better for short-term storage. It's smaller, and then we have a better way of putting things together, and you still can also put some desiccant here. But this is good for long-term storage because it's really highly protective, and you will never damage the thing. So this is the IEM in its default state, and this is the default cable, which now that I see it, it feels like a $100 cable. Let me show you later. Let me zoom in first, and then we will take a closer look at the IEM and the cables themselves. First, let's take a look at the IEMs. Now, this is the Scarlet Mini, and it is a very small IEM. I mean, for comparisons, let me show you. This is another red IEM. This is the TrueView Zero Red. You can see this is a bigger IEM. It's also thicker. You can see that this is significantly thicker. Though, even though this looks smaller, this is actually lighter. The TrueView Zero is probably a hollow shell plastic one that is polished. This is probably a cast resin or a 3D printed resin, and this is actually slightly heavier than this. Yes, I think so too. And not only that, the shape itself is very different. This is, I believe, more molded to the ear shape. There's a lot of curves and stuff, while this is like flat, 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 flat. You notice? So this is where all the little details that's also different. And most importantly, you look at the faceplate. This is of course a very simple faceplate with a fabric, most likely a fabric and a piece of clear acrylic over it. This one you can see very nice, and you can see from the side this is like a very concave faceplate. So this is overall a very nice faceplate, and according to FatFreq, I can actually change the faceplate in the future if I want to. So that is something you can actually pay for service to change the faceplate next time. Now FatFreq IEMs do come with a 1-year warranty. They just told me that it's 1 year, but you know, I have yet to encounter an IEM that is spoiled unless it's spoiled right out of the box. Now this is the IEM as a whole. You can see it's very small. This is the serial number. It's here, the serial number. So you can see the serial number here. And then once I remove the tip here, you can see this is a nozzle. The nozzle comes with a lip. A very, I would say, it's non-distinct lip though. It's a lip, and then it has a metal filter in front to prevent debris from getting in. Overall, a very small IEM, and I think it fits into almost anyone's ears. I'm pretty sure this fits well. And not only that, the nozzle, because of the shape, everything, you can hold the tip and it can go quite deep in because it still juts out a little bit here. So it's a lot simpler to fit into many ears. And considering its weight and stuff, I think this will be a very good fit. Now, this is it for the IEM itself. Let me put back the tip. Now, let's take a look at the cable, and that is something I have to say the truth, even though I did purposely choose the cheaper cable package because I really don't want to pay another $200 more for a cable, because $200 can get you many good cables these days if you know where to find. And this cable that comes default for a $800 IEM is pretty sad. Firstly, it's a single-ended, which I think is fine. I have bought Audio 64's U12T, and it all comes with single cable. But the quality of the cable, this is really low. In fact, this feels like and looks like the quality I get from the TruthYear Zero Red 2. It has a smaller plug. I mean, this is the one that is coming from the FatFreq, and this is the one that comes from TruthYear Zero. It looks very similar, it's just a smaller plug. And you can see even this component here, this of course is engraved with TruthYear. You can notice that this is TruthYear, and then it has a small little thing. This one is just engraved with FatFreq, and then a small thing. But you see the cable quality, the braiding, everything looks very similar. Even the connector at the end. Let's take a look at the connector at the end. You look at the connector here. The FatFreq version is just a smaller connector than the TruthYear Zero. I mean, the TruthYear Zero is, I believe, a flat head. And this is one that is recessed. Oh yes, something about this IEM is that it is quite recessed in the socket. This is a recessed 0.78 socket. It is actually quite recessed in, so if you don't have a cable that is meant to fit in the recessed socket, it won't work. It's quite recessed in, significantly recessed in fact. So that's really about it. This is the difference. I mean, the cable feels really cheap. The IEM feels pretty fine. Looks pretty good. But you know, obviously I'm not going to pay $800 for the cable and stuff. You are paying for the sound quality. So let's not waste time and talk a little bit about the sound. This is the AKSE300, and I think the sound is very good. It's somewhere in between very buttery smooth leather or AKM DAC, and the ESS on the other side is somewhere in between those kind of settings. So it's a little bit smooth, a little bit powerful, a little bit clean, but generally a very well performing DAP. So I do like this SE300. For the purpose of testing, it is right smack in the middle. For the configuration of this DAP for today's testing, this will be in NOS mode, no oversampling, plus in AB amplification, because AB amplification feels a little bit more controlled, while A amplification, which is class A, feels a little bit more, I would say, as warm and smooth, which I don't need any more of those for the purpose of the FatFreq Scarlet Mini. I just want to try the default state. I have heard the sound roughly. I mean, there's a reason why I purchased it, but I just want to hear it in its default state to really give a quick impression to you guys. How does it feel like listening to this out of the box. So for the first song, I will actually be trying out Eno Akuruhi. This is a very vocal track with some bass. One of the real reason I bought this Scarlet Mini is because I like to listen to my music a bit soft, and a lot of time bass just disappears when it's soft. So I hope that, you know, with this very bassy IM, I do get the bass, the warmth, the thickness feel, but at a very low volume. That's what I'm aiming for. So I have heard the song Eno Akuruhi on the Scarlet Mini using the C200. I think it's really nice. It's really smooth. It has the very warm texture, the sub bass feeling, the whole bass impact is really nice throughout the entire song. Now this song doesn't have much bass really. I mean, a lot of the IEMs would have rendered this as a very clean, smooth song. But this is like romantic, smooth, warm take for a song that is meant to be light. So this is actually one of the reasons why I'm purchasing this, because at decent listening volume, you get all the bass, the texture and the smoothness, which you do not get in other IEMs because they just don't have enough bass. You must jack it up a little bit higher, they can feel the mood of the song. Well, this one, you really don't need to jack it up high to feel the mood of the song. Now, I do have some recommendations later. I'll talk about it more, but at least I'm really happy straight out of the box listening to this particular song, and you know, I have no issues here. Now the next one I want to play is something with a bit more bass, and for that I will want to listen to maybe Backlight from Ado. Backlight from Ado has quite a bit of bass, a lot of punchy and sub bass sound, a lot of electronic bass also, I believe. Let's have a listen. Now I've heard Backlight with this particular IEM in the default state. I would say as the bass here feels like, no, it's like really bassy, it's always there, but the impact is a little bit rounded off. It feels like, you know, you lose some impact, but you have all this sub bass there. So it feels a little bit bloated for the bass level, if you ask me, for this song Backlight. But the interesting part of this is that the treble and the mids do push through the bass, especially the treble. It's actually quite pronounced here, and if you're looking at the lower treble or upper mids, then where sibilance do happen, there is even some sibilance. It's quite interesting. And then the cymbals, everything are really clear and very, I would say, as distinct. Like it's really there and it's separated from the rest of the track. So I do think that, you know, after all this bass that is going on, you still have very clean mids. Generally, I think clean enough mids for considering its bass amount, and a very clear highs too. So this is truly a very V-shaped IEM. It's just that the V on the left side for the bass is extremely high, while on the right side is still very distinct and very noticeable of a sound signature itself. Overall, I do think that I can enjoy listening to this. This is the type that I would bob my head and tap on the table and shake my leg, and the kind of feeling, you know, the kind of music that will get you moving. It is very engaging. That's really the important part. And I don't even need to listen very loud. Wow, but talking about volume, I'll talk about that later when I compare it with my variation. It is an IEM that needs a lot of power, even though you don't listen very loud. It's really a lot of power. Okay, that is it for the second song. Today will be an Ado day, because I mean, this is like a bassy IM, and Ado rock songs are fantastic. Rock like J-pop anime songs. I really love them. Okay, so the next one I will just try out. It will be Ibarra, but this time I will do a comparison. Now, for this song, right, I will compare using variation here, and I will also go single-ended. Okay, this is the default variation cable. Of course, not the default tips. You can see here, this is a variation. In Singapore, this is about $700 plus. I mean, if you buy from China side, it does go lower, maybe say about 600-ish Sing dollars. So it's still quite close, and this guy here is about 800. So it's about $100 to $200 difference, depending on where you purchase it brand new. Let's try it out. So I will hear Ibarra first on the Scarlet Mini, then followed by the variations. You will just see the results, but I would, you know, change a few times to just confirm certain things. So I have tried out both IEMs, and I just want to say something that the difference is very simple. This sounds like a recording. Variation sounds like a recording. While the Scarlet Mini sounds like you're in a live concert, and Ado is screaming on the concert hall. And then the drummer just go wow. The drummer just went wow. That is the difference. The mood, the atmosphere, the bass, everything. The Scarlet Mini just feels more engaging, more exciting to listen, and a lot of bass. Really, a lot of bass. It makes the variation sounds anemic in bass. Because, you know, when we listen stuff, it's very relative. Variation is relatively a bassy IM, but, you know, when you listen side by side, it sounds like the variation is anemic, it's crazy. And then it also sounds like the mids on the variation is very thin. Very thin. Well, the mids on the Scarlet Mini is like full and forward and powerful. It's really interesting about it. I would say as one thing the variation does better is the highs. The highs is extended, but it's smooth and still well defined. While I feel for the Scarlet Mini, it can get a little bit rough. And not only that, there is some sibilance, which is belonging to the higher mids, lower treble region. There's some sibilance there, and it does get a little bit hot for the cymbals at times, considering, you know, equivalent mid-level listening. Now, the other observation I noticed is the amount of volume that's needed. Now, the Scarlet Mini needs like 114 on the player, while the variation needs only like 90 plus. Now, this may not sound like a big deal. I mean, if you're using a DAB, sure. Now, I do not know whether is it a power problem or is it a case of voltage problem, because, you know, turning the wheel doesn't mean there is it just means I increase the voltage for most of the DABs, and then the power just fits in anyway, depending on the sensitivity. Doesn't mean that higher volume equals to more power. It depends a lot on the configuration. It may just be a case where it needs more voltage. So I'm not sure whether the Scarlet Mini needs more voltage or more power. So if anybody knows, just put down in the comments below, because obviously I didn't go and dig too deep in the specs itself. But that being said, I do feel like you do need to jack your depths higher to get decent amount of volume and also dynamics inside the Scarlet Mini compared to the variation. Now, listening at low volume still gives you all the dynamics and stuff. In fact, that's one of the reasons why I get a Scarlet Mini, because at lower volume you still get a very nice bass. In comparison, when I listen to variation now at low volume, it feels like, oh, the bass just disappeared. I think this is the nature of the beast, right? Okay, this is, of course, Ibarra, which is a very rock song, no cymbals, and then Ado's screaming into the mic and stuff for a good portion, and then there's a lot of smoothness in between. I do really love that song. But let's try something different. I mean, really different. Let's try something that, not too sure. I want to try the separation, because the bass do come in quite powerful. I just want to try separation. So last Ado song again. This time I will listen to Unravel. Unravel at the 2 minute 40 something seconds point is where it's very confusing. And I just want to listen to the separation there. I have heard the song Unravel from Ado, and I'll just say that when it comes to separation, both isn't that fantastic. When it comes to details, both also isn't that fantastic. I have heard IEMs that can actually pull out that electronic sound in between all the mix of the track, but both of these IEMs don't seem to display the kind. I have to say the truth though, the Scarlet Mini has a lot of bass in this track, yet it still provides similar, very, very similar details compared to the variation. So that's a good thing. It doesn't muddy up the detail, it doesn't muddy up the mids, so actually it's very nice to listen. The bass is a little bit strong. If you do not like that much bass, this will not be for you. It's significantly more bass than the variation, and the variation is already a relatively bassy IEM. So this is something to note. This is like a lot of bass, irresponsible amount of bass. It can sound a little bit boomy. It can sound a little bit too much feeling and not enough impact. But it is a fun bass that you can try out, and it doesn't, destroys your mids and the highs still. Very interesting combination and worth to actually give a try if you got the chance. Now, that is it for the comparison. Now, as I said, I have already tried in the shop, so I also try with various cables and tips. So today, I'll just show you the configuration that I like, and I'll talk a little bit about the sound quality, the changes that is brought out by this particular combination itself. Now, this is a combination that I like, both in terms of the cable quality and of course the tips themselves. Now, cable, I'm not too sticky of a cable person. I do like them for the aesthetics and the slight sound difference, if any. There is some slight sound difference for this, but you know, I won't focus on the sound difference for the cables because it's really very small usually. But the important part is the tips. Now, these tips here, this is the Elitech Baroque, and this tip opens up the sound, tames the very spiky sibilance treble to me a little bit, yet still maintain relatively good extension in the highs. And most importantly, it actually reduces the sub bass a bit, gives some cleanliness to the mid bass, so it becomes a little bit more impactful, still maintain good amount of rumble, and really makes the mids and the highs clearer, yet reduce a bit of sibilance. I don't know, it's magical to me. I mean, this tip with this IEM makes wonders, at least for me itself. The cable does change the sound quality a little bit compared to the original cable, which I feel is a very low quality cable. But you know what? Let's listen. Now, since I'm going to go all the way already, I thought maybe I should just go at it full. So this is the Mass Kobo 475. I mean, one of the best portable amplification. So let's not, waste it. So I'm going to play Unravel again this time. And Unravel, as I said just now, I couldn't hear electronic music. It doesn't feel like, it improved my separation in any way. But let's hear it in this combination and see whether it makes a difference. With this combination, I have to say the truth. The impact is there. The sub bass actually became really energetic to me. Not like super strong and bloated. Now it's like really controlled, shake your body level sub bass. That's how I got the feeling. Shake your body level sub bass that's coming out from this song. Yeah, there's still very good clarity. Now, I have to say the truth that for the 475, they tend to change the sound signature a little bit. It will be a little bit bigger, a bit airier. So it does make this sound a little bit airier for this IEM now. So the FatFreq now is actually a little bit more enjoyable, but it still maintains the warmthness of the IEM. Quite, it's quite prominent there. The treble itself actually do get tame a little bit. There's good extension now, but no more sibilance, at least to me, for this particular song. So it's pretty nice. Overall, I do enjoy this version of it, but I would say as the enjoyment difference isn't that huge that I'll purposely connect all of this up for it, But if you can, why not, right? So I will just listen to another song today, and then I will end this review. I'm just trying to try one more thing also. I just want to try one more thing later. Okay, let's listen to Love Car. Love Car, this particular song here, has I believe it's electronic style bass, and it's like really a lot of it. It gives that shaky feel all the way for a good amount of the song. I'm going to try with this IEM and see whether to bass destroy me or maybe it opens up a new world for me too. I have to say the truth. Listening to Love Car on this is like putting yourself in the small room and then blasting the subwoofer. It is irresponsible amount of bass. It is really too much for me. The feeling is going crazy. Like my whole body feels that bass that is being rubbed. Because Love Car's bass is, I think, an electronic style bass. It feels like it's rubbing. The bass is intense on this IEM. I mean, if I'm in the mood for bass, I guess it will be good. But if I'm not in the mood for bass, this is just a bit too much. A little bit too much. But that being said, the voice, the treble, all is still really clear. I mean, a lot of people online, when I read the reviews, they say that, you get lost in details and stuff. But for this price range, I really don't think it's that bad. I mean, variation is considered very good. And this just feels like very similar in most parameters except its irresponsible amount of bass. That's really it. Now, there are a few more things I'll talk about in this video. It's a bit longer today. But first, I'll talk about tips first. Now, when I went to the shop, I actually brought this box of tips. Now, the missing one is actually the Baroque. So I tried the tips. I tried the EBT. This is the Yearbond EBT SS stainless steel. This one actually gives it a little bit more liveliness, but the bass gets reduced quite a lot. At least this tip with the Scarlet Mini reduces the bass quite significantly. So if you want to actually tone the bass down, this actually does work. But you know, I still want to keep. I mean, I'm purchasing this for bass. I want to keep the bass, and I think that's where the Elitech is better. Now the Divinus Velvet, supposedly it makes IEM sound smoother. That's why a lot of people love it, and I can appreciate that too. But on this particular IEM, too much. When you put this on, you actually boost your bass, and it boosts that muddiness in it. It makes the mids way too smooth and entering the realm of muddiness. Because actually on default, sometimes the Scarlet Mini may sound a little bit muddy because of the amount of sub bass it has. It like bloats and then breaches into the mid regions, and it sounds not clear, details are lost. I mean, if you use proper amplification and then change the tape, you do get most of it back, but with the Velvet it actually gets a lot more smooth and a little bit too much bass. It actually increases the bass slightly. I don't like it. Not with the Scarlet Mini itself. The W1 is fine. I don't think that is neither a good improvement or bad improvement. I mean, it's a bit more clear than the default tip, so I don't really fancy it. This one I didn't try because this one tends to boost bass and reduce highs, and that's not what I'm doing for today. Not at least with the Scarlet Mini. So the Baroque, Elitech Baroque, that one is the best. It gives a bit more clarity, opens up the sound a little bit, reduces the sibilance a bit, yeah, that part that I don't like a little bit. And then most importantly, it still maintains the bass, reduces the sub bass a little bit, but increases the impact a little bit. So this small little adjustment is like playing with EQ all around and gives me a very enjoyable time with this IEM. Now, with all that said, there is still one last thing I want to try. But yes, one last thing I want to try, and that is to run this IEM out of the voltage port from my Enleum. When I run it through the Enleum, and if this is truly linear response, it will probably improve. Without wasting time, let's try it out. Okay, now I'm all plugged in and ready to go. This is the Enleum running on current mode, powering the Scarlet Mini. Hopefully it's truly linear response, and let's see what happens. I mean, if it's a power hungry one, the Enleum will just push a lot of stuff into it. This is I Know Akuruhi. This song doesn't have that much bass, very sweet vocals, like what I said at the start. Let's hear it one more time with this guy here. Now I have done listening with the Scarlet Mini and running the Enleum through current. I have to say that this is way too much bass for me. Oh my. If you are an extreme bass, sub-bass lover, this is insane. Like, any music you play feels like somebody is whacking the drum next to you. You feel the sub-bass all the way to your chest, to your stomach, to your shoulders. It's insane amount of bass. I don't know. With soundtracks like Wish for Mercury, it was really nice. Like, immense feel, like really immense the feel. But with a track like I Know Akuruhi, it was a little bit too much. I mean, that song's not even meant to have so much bass, but it's like bass. Yeah, okay, the interesting part of plugging it into the Enleum is a current drive amp, so it does show that this IEM does need a lot of current. I mean, look at the point here. I'm using it here. This point is to drive many of my lesser, I'll say as more efficient planners. This is the value that's required for more efficient planner headphones. Not IEMs, headphones. Normal IEMs probably like this or like this. And if you use any of like Atrium or ZMFs, it's like that. It's really little. This guy is using all the way here. And the best part, no hiss. Very minimal hiss, even though it's an IEM. This guy is taking tons and tons of current. But I tell you that the bass is, especially for the sub bass, is just too crazy on this combination. I mean, if you are extreme bass head, do try out an Enleum on current mode using the Scarlet Mini. And I don't know, man. You either go crazy on it or think it's an utter waste of money. To me, it was a bit too much, really too much. And I do prefer to listen to it directly through my 4.4 on the on the SE300. I mean, this is fun for soundtracks, but really not fun for music that's not supposed to have bass. This one is like bass, 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 bass. Yes, bass. But I do not know. Now, this shows that I'm not too sure whether this is a linear response or because of how the whole Enleum works is driving the bass intensely. I don't know, it sounds like at least a good 3, 6, 9 decibel difference. It's really significant amount of bass. Like from you can slightly feel it to like you can feel it everywhere. It's quite crazy. But that being said, I had a fun time, and this is one of the most fun IEM. Depending on what you do with it, it is really interesting in every single way. Now, this is the first impression and somewhat of a review of the Scarlet Mini. I hope you learned something from it. Now, there's a few things that I didn't really cover, and I just want to cover in this final conclusion on the sound quality. Firstly, the Scarlet Mini is a bass-heavy IEM. My purpose of buying it is to enjoy vocal tracks with some bass to make the bass a bit more prominent and enjoyable. A lot of times when I listen low, you cannot hear the bass, or the bass is very anemic. That's how our ear works. As it goes high in volume, it tends to react to bass very differently. And for this IEM, even at low volume, you get that feeling, the engagement, the liveness with the bass itself. Now, with certain tips, this one can sound a little bit harsh at times. It can also sound a little bit sibilant at times, but it's a little bit. It's not like very bad in any way. But because of this treble boost, I think it does affect the clarity. The clarity is still really good. Even with all that bass, it cuts through it and brings that highs and clarity to you. Now, the mids, I would say, is normal. It is warm, it is smooth, it is not very forward. I think it's a bit backward to me. It sounds actually quite backward. If let's say you consider the treble and the bass, this is a mid that is actually quite backward in terms of sound. And that said, the mids are still very full, very nice, very enjoyable. I do like the mids here better than the variation. The variation actually sounds a little bit thin if you do compare as what I said just now. When it comes to soundstage, I think the soundstage is in the middle of the pack. Not too big, not too small for IEM standard. There are IEMs that sound way bigger but they cost more. There are also lesser IEMs that sound bigger but they are not tuned with this amount of bass. So any IEM that is like cleaner, better, clearer with bigger soundstage are probably going to cost more than this IEM, and that's something to note. So the soundstage wise, not the biggest. It's the middle of the pack, very comparable to variation to me. In fact, it's I think slightly bigger than variation to me for the soundstage itself. Now, when it comes to clarity, it depends, right? The bass has a lot of texture, but not a whole lot of texture compared to some other IEMs. Similarly, for the treble, it has good amount of details, but not the most detailed ever I heard. Definitely, I think that this, when it comes to clarity, is probably in the middle or slightly upper middle. No, I wouldn't say, yeah, slightly upper middle, correct. It's not in the high grade, definitely. It's not the cleanest, clearest clarity, but it is very clear considering the amount of bass. I'll still rate it as a medium to medium high type of clarity for it. Separation is actually really good here. It does separate, even though with all the bass going on, it does separate the mids and the highs quite well. As long as you power it properly, it actually doesn't have much muddiness and it's actually quite clean in separation. I don't really have much comment. It consumes quite a lot of power, so you do have to push the power up in terms of volume knob, or in this case for the Enleum, the volume knob actually drives the amount of current. You do need quite a bit. You need to push quite a little bit of power into this IEM to bring it to a level that you normally listen to. So that's really another thing to note. The only thing I would say bad about this IEM is, as I said, the initial impression of the cable. The stock cable isn't that great. But then again, you can always buy your own cable, change your cable, or you can pay a bit more and get the red color Scarlet cable, which is pretty cool looking, but to me, I don't think it's worth $200, at least to me itself. And that's really about it for today. That is my conclusion of the Scarlet Mini. This is a very, very, very unique IEM. I don't think this is for everyone. And if you dislike bass, this is not for you. And if you want the cleanest mids and highs, this is also not for you. You want the bigger soundstage, this is also not for you. You want the best clarity, the separation, this is not for you. The only biggest reason you want to come into this IEM and have a listen and have fun is that you want bass, be it at low volume or high volume, or you want the most irresponsible amount of bass. Bass. Just whatever reason, it has to revolve around bass. If not, this is not worth it. Now, there's one last thing I just remember now undercover is that the bass impact. Now, this IEM obviously is pushing the sub bass as high as it can go, but the mid bass, which is where normally you feel that impact, that push, is not there. So this is definitely not for people who just go for impact. Sometimes some people like to hear impact, some people like to hear sub bass. It's a different type of bass, just not this pushes mainly sub bass. It does have impact, but the amount of sub bass makes the impact a little bit more rounded off. So it's not like the most impactful IEM you can ever hear. But if you considering the sub bass that is going on, when the drum hit, it feels like the whole world is vibrating. That's the cool part. But you will not feel like the drum hits and the impact, the cleanliness of the impact, the whole feeling of the impact is there. You will not get that. But you'll get like the whole vibration of it, the whole feeling, atmosphere of it. This is what the IEM give. And that's about it for today. I hope you enjoy my long review of the Scarlet Mini. This is a review, come impression, come comparison, all in one. But because this IEM is so interesting that I think it's worth to do it. And that's about it for today. I hope you enjoy this, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.